You know, it's not a stretch to compare disgraced, disbarred attorney Alex Murdaugh to Darth Vader. And you know how at the end of Star Wars, Darth Vader shot off into space and you think the evil empire is done and over. And then in part 2, what happens? The empire strikes back. Well, just like the evil empire and Darth Vader, Alex Murdaugh has struck back. And in the last month, he has filed 2 big appeals. One for his double murder conviction, and the second one for the sentence he received for his federal financial crimes. So, join me in a legal deep dive in the appeals Alex Murdaugh has filed. What's good, people? I've always said, even after Alex Murdaugh's conviction, these cases will be around for years to come. And now, the appeals are beginning. After the judge denied Murdaugh's motion for a new trial based on jury tampering, there was never any doubt he would file an appeal. And now, the South Carolina Supreme Court has agreed to hear the appeal for Murdaugh's motion for a new trial. Now, the way the appellate process works in the state of South Carolina, there is a hierarchy or order of the appellate process. And I say most because in some situations and circumstances, the Supreme Court does take original jurisdiction for appeals. A good example is death penalty cases. But normally in most cases, you start with the South Carolina Court of Appeals. And to give you some context of the normal process, if an appeal is heard by the South Carolina Court of Appeals, and one party decides they don't like the outcome, they still have to request the Supreme Court entertain their appeal. And the Supreme Court doesn't always do that. And you're probably wondering, well, why wouldn't they do that? Isn't every defendant entitled to an appeal? Yeah, but you have to think about, we're not talking about just one case or just criminal cases. The Supreme Court is the ultimate authority on every single case that goes to trial in South Carolina. Criminal cases, civil cases, personal injury cases, cases in family court, divorce hearings, things like that. So when you understand it from that context, there's absolutely no way that the South Carolina Supreme Court can stand and review every single decision of every trial that occurs in the state. It's just not realistic. Now, if you're wondering why the Supreme Court would take original jurisdiction of the appeal, I can tell you from personal experience that the Supreme Court has the authority to and will assume jurisdiction of a case if they believe it's in the public interest. I can tell you from personal experience. I actually had a case years ago that hadn't even gone to trial yet, so there was nothing to appeal, and I literally got a call from the South Carolina Supreme Court Chief Justice telling me, hey Mobley, your case has been going on too long, we're going to set it for trial and there will not be any continuances. So trust me, they will take jurisdiction of a case if they believe it's in the public interest. Now, I think in this case, the South Carolina Supreme Court knew that whatever decision the Court of Appeals made, whatever side lost was going to file an appeal, and it was going to get to them anyway. So I'm thinking they decided, you know something, cut out the middleman. Instead of letting the Court of Appeals hear this issue, make a decision, and then wait another 2 or 3 years for the case to get to us, let's go ahead, cut out the middleman, make a decision right now, and add some finality to this issue. Now here's a $1 million question. Now that the Supreme Court has taken up this issue, does Alex Murdaugh deserve a new trial based on jury tampering by the clerk of court? Well, despite the fact this is a horrible, gruesome, double homicide, I gotta call it like I see it. Alex Murdaugh deserves a new trial based on improper comments made by the clerk of court, Becky Hill, that influenced the decision of one of the jurors. I had the exact same opinion after the hearing on this issue at the state court level, and my opinion has not changed. 2 jurors testified. They overheard the clerk of court, Becky Hill, make statements to the effect of, watch him closely, watch his movements. One of those jurors, Juror Z, testified those comments influenced her decision. In my opinion, he was entitled to a new trial. Now, you may be wondering, well, John, if it's so open and shut, why didn't the trial judge grant him a new trial? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you. The answer is none. I can guarantee you there is no judge in this country that wants to be the one that single-handedly decides to give Alex Murdaugh a new trial on a double homicide. I can guarantee you no judge wants any part of that decision and decided the best thing to do is to drop this in the lap of the appellate courts and let them clean up this mess. So, do you think Alex Murdaugh deserves a new trial based on jury tampering? Do me a favor, post your comments and call it like you see it. Stay tuned for part 2. That's it. What's good, people? Suits, Law and Order, LA Law, Matlock, Perry Mason. I think it'd be fun to do a podcast talking about our favorite all-time lawyer TV shows. What we like, what we don't like, what's realistic, what's not realistic, and really just go down the rabbit hole. I'll even share which lawyer TV show made the difference in me wanting to be a lawyer. Do me a favor, post your comments and tell me your favorite lawyer TV shows so we can talk about them too. That's it.